Hello, 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 folks. This is your humble reporter reporting for Borderless Africa. Yeah, what is in the news? We just want to update you on uh, the elimination of a French language that all our brothers and sisters in the Sahel are getting rid of. The truth behind this elimination of French language as a medium of communication in this country is that France charges colonial fee, or what they call cultural fee, cultural fee for speaking of French in any French former colonies, or can we say French colonies, called France has not left. France charges any country that speaks French a cultural fee. They are bad. When they say exploitation, French people can be a synonym to the word exploitation. They take it to a whole new height. Yes, and if you say you don't want them no more, they will destroy everything that they built 200 years ago. France is still taking colonial fee, or whatever it is that, just colonial fee from you for being colonized by them, which we all know by now. Dr. Arikana had made it, had blown the lid of all these secrets that most of our president knew about, but are still hush with France. Okay, we knew this demonic part and the fees that France has been taking, charging year in, year out on things that they built 200 years ago, 150 years ago. France is still charging on any piece of infrastructure constructed years back. So France comes to Africa, or came to Africa, the land that belonged to us, put one or two roads over there and taking fee on them for over 100 years, including the language French. And that is the reason why when Kagame took over Rwanda, he knew, they all knew about this. So the reason why Kagame have to, get rid of French language and opted for English, and then started working on the local language for, their own communication, is because France will regard you as her colony as long as you keep speaking French in your national affairs. Okay, so Rwanda kicked French as a medium of communication, and then adopted local language. They have only one language between Rwanda and Burundi. They have only one language. They are not like crazy as some of us with multi ethnic languages. But still, we can do it. Even we with multiple languages, which are not too different from each other, we can also do it. Nigeria can do it. So is Ghana can do it. Okay, we can do it. We can choose a language, but still maintain our languages. We have the money to do it. We have the money, we have the funds to do it. If you have 10 languages in your country, each region that language is spoken, you can print at least primary school books in those languages and allow those languages to be taught as a medium of communication in schools, and then allow the national language to be taken as a subject, as we do with English. You see, as we do with English, we can do the same thing. Then you can either say, okay, for the sake of international or whatever it is, as Chinese people are doing, you could learn English as a subject, but you may not use it. Okay, Chinese people are doing it. England is not charging Chinese people for learning English because they have their own language. All right. So we could do the same thing in our local, in our localities, in our various nations. Each area where Hausa is spoken, let the people print primary school books, middle school books, high school books in that language. And then use one language that all of you can agree on, but you are not losing your language. You're not going to lose Yoruba. You're not going to lose Hausa. You're not going to lose Igbo or Ijo. Ijo and Igbo are interchangeable. Most African languages are like that. So in Ghana, you're not going to lose any of the ethnic languages if you agree that, okay, in my area, we're going to learn in my language, but we're going to choose Akan. We're going to do Akan as a subject, just we do with English. So you learn Akan, but you don't lose your language. The people who speak Akan can also choose to learn a couple of other Ghanaian languages, but then, as subject. Okay, we're already doing with Russia. We're learning Spanish. Some people learning French already. So get rid of all those European languages. You can do English as a subject. Do a couple of languages in your own country as a subject, including yours, because you're going to be teaching. They're going to be teaching you in your language. You're going to be reading books in your own language. We have the money for it. Then you take whatever language agree upon as a subject and learn it. Okay, so that is what Rwanda did. Niger now still believe that if they have to get rid of France totally, France say, hey, if you really, really want to get rid of me, then I'm still going to be charging you for speaking French. Mali also, so they know the cultural charges are there, just as the continuation of colonialism as a pact that is signed is still, so they knew all these things. So to get rid of France totally, you have to get rid of the French language because they will charge you for it. How do I know this? How do I know this? Because a presidential aspirant called Le Pen in France spoke about this. Say when the Algerians were asking French people to apologize for all the atrocities that they rained on Algeria during their civil war to get rid of them for their independence, Le Pen said, you know what, the Algerians supposed to be more, what did she say, thankful for speaking French. Oh, you could kill millions of me, but you're not going to apologize simply because I'm speaking French. That's how I know that they regard you as their colony as long as you are in fact speaking French. So that is the reason why these nations are getting rid of the French language, because France will come knocking for money for speaking French. Okay, they did the same thing to Haiti. So Haiti have to form a language called Creole, and then they get rid of France and elevated Creole as a national language, because France is still, after taking billions and billions from Haiti, they just finished paying it in, I think, 1981 or something like that. Money that they needed to build roads, to improve agriculture, to improve educational institutions, research center. Haiti was not doing bad at all. Haiti built so many marvelous things by themselves, by their own hands. If you go to Haiti and see, just Google it and see all the marvelous things. Nobody was helping them. Haiti was good. They were building ammunition. In 1800 to early 1900, they were building things by themselves. It wasn't easy. It wasn't difficult unless somebody deprived you that you cannot be able to smelter iron to turn it into gun. Unless somebody deprives you of doing that, it's not something that is so difficult. Black people were building an automobile in America. There was a company for black people building automobile in this America. Until they were demanding equality here, equality there, we want to mingle. When they mingle everything, then they find themselves that they have nothing no more. They lose all their hotels, lose all their hospitals, all their banks being absorbed by the bigger banks. But if black people in America could be by themselves, the story would have been different today. But they wanted to be part of something that has no name, don't have their name on it. So when they became part of a bigger thing, they lose all their hotels, they lose all their football teams, they lose all their basketball teams, they lose all their baseball teams, they lose everything. Now they become just big time players. The Negro League was doing fantastic, beating all the white leagues. You see, the Negro League today will have been a multi-trillion-dollar, league. You see. So building ammunition was nothing difficult unless your own government deprive you of doing it, like all the African nations are doing. They deprive us of manufacturing guns. They deprive all the blacksmiths from manufacturing guns. They go and arrest them that they are the one manufacturing ammunition for criminals. But what about other guns that criminals have been using that are not manufactured in Ghana? Okay. But the Ghanaian government will go and arrest any blacksmith manufacturing guns that they are the one giving guns to criminals, which is a lie, because somebody told them, don't allow your people to manufacture guns. So Haiti was doing very well. But when you have to pay billions of dollars to somebody who is extorting you with gun ships, they surround the whole Haiti with a gun ship, that if you don't agree to pay a profit that we lost in enslaving you, we're going to bomb you to Stone Age. So Haiti, instead of building, take that money and pay France. And continue to demand more money for them speaking French. So all those African countries that continue speaking French, you know how much you're paying for speaking French. You see, the French are bad. They just bad. They no good. We don't know what England is doing in Ghana and Nigeria. We don't know. We have to find out. They're all the same. You see, the money that England is paying for our gold and cocoa, Cadbury, and Switzerland is paying, we have to revisit all those things. We have to revisit all those things. Whatever agreement that it is that make them take all these things for almost nothing, that we don't get anything out of it, we got to revisit all those things. But we need a leader with a good, testicle. Not this one that we have. They cannot talk. They can't do anything. Get along and follow along. Jump how high? They ask. Jump how high? They will ask. You see, we got to revisit all this thing, because now we're talking about France. What France is doing bad in Africa, but what Spain is doing bad, what Angola is doing, Portugal is doing bad in Mozambique, Angola, and Guinea-Bissau. What England is doing in Sierra Leone, Ghana, Nigeria, Botswana, Kenya, Tanzania, Uganda. What are they doing that you think we think France is not doing? You think France could be doing these things getting away with it, and England would just be quiet and not, do you know the kind of money that France is pulling out of Africa, and you think England knew about it and won't do the same? Just think about it. These people are copycats. You see, the copycats. You think France is pulling all this money from the 14 colonized nations year in, year out, and England is not doing the same? Simply because we don't want to talk about what England is doing. We don't want to stand up to England. We don't want to stand up to England. Let me remind you of something. There was a time a BBC interviewer was interviewing Goodluck Jonathan at the end of his presidency. This journalist knew how much the budget for defense is. Okay? He knew how much is allocated for buying of ammunition year in, year out. So he asked Goodluck Jonathan, for the past 8 years, you haven't purchased ammunition. So that money that you allocated in your budget, what happened to it? You see, that means when the Nigerians decided that they're not going to buy ammunition for the next 8 years or 5 years, somebody is in England losing on that money. That is the reason why the BBC journalists got to, got a hint of it, to got a gust to ask Jonathan, what is that money? Because that money didn't end up in England. It didn't end up in the coffers of that ammunition company in England. Okay, at least the Nigerians got some little testicle to withhold that money. The French people don't have, because that for them, for the French, the money, whatever export they make, the money stay in France, central bank, and they decide whether they can even sell you ammunition or not. Okay, the Nigerian situation is a little different, but this BBC reporter knew about it, that there's an ammunition company somewhere in Europe didn't get purchasing orders for 8 years or 5 years, whatever it was. You see, so these are some of the agreements. These people are demanding, expecting of you. You have to honor this agreement, or else, honor this agreement or else, honor this agreement or else. We keep feeding these people all the time. When they turn around and say, you poor, you poor, you poor, you are poor, I'm going to give you aid, I'm going to give you aid, I'm going to give you aid, I'm going to give you aid. Aid for what? We are the one giving them more than aid. We are the one feeding them. How can you call me poor when literally I'm walking on gold and diamond? You see, how do we believe that? What happened that we have to believe that we're poor? What when somebody come and trade places with you, trading places, they traded places with us. The poor took over our inheritance and our money and said, I'm the wealthiest now. Now I'm going to be giving you pittance as aid. And we believe that we're poor. How we arrived at that conclusion that we're poor? Man, folks, let the conversation continue. Share this video. It's an information. It's an information. It's a new age. Subscribe, share this video, and let's continue talking. This is the age of information. We got to share information with each other. So anytime I come up with something that crossed my mind, you have to be privileged to have it as well. I don't want to keep it to myself. I don't want to keep all these things to myself. So let's continue talking. Talk. Open up a channel. I'll listen to yours. Let's share, because 1.3 billion people of Africans, we're lacking behind in information about ourselves and what's really going on in Africa. So therefore, share this information. Share them and subscribe so we can continue bringing you messages, about our borderless Africa. Africa have to be borderless. Borderless Africa. We have to be borderless.